on this rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Tuesday to all of you out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and we got a packed show for y'all today, starting on a very serious note here, Omari.
Yeah, definitely. We need our viewer support here. One of our colleagues, one of our producers, Proof, people saw him on the show last week. His daughter is missing out in Kent. It's going on 2 days now. We've got the slide up here. Niani Rashad is her name, 18 years old. Last seen May 30th out in Kent. If you've seen Niani Rashad or if you have any information, please contact the Kent Police.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we talk about these things hitting our community, hitting us as a family, this is one that's very serious. And so I'm glad that we're able to use this platform to spread this message. Please, you guys, if you guys have seen Niani, please make sure you guys make contact with the Kent Police.
Yeah, and we'll also post this across our social media after the show here today so you guys can share and get this information out to the community. Want to welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show and remind you that right now is the perfect time to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. For a lot of you guys have been following Converge or followed the Seattle protests or just the Seattle Light, you know, June 1st today is a really big day in the history of Seattle. It's referred to as Pink Umbrella, the flashpoint. This is like, you know, a turning point in the Seattle protests where just less than 100 feet behind me here is when the Seattle Police Department deployed tear gas up here in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. Tear gas, flashbangs, and in result, we're still seeing some of the results. Chief Diaz demoted the chief, but this was the day, and we're going to get into that. And we're joined today and the rest of the week by Justin Carter. He's the publisher of the Capitol Hill Seattle blog. That's capitolhillseattle.com. And also a very special guest, a real live hero right here joining us at Cal Anderson Park on Capitol Hill, Dan Gregory. You might remember that Dan Gregory was the person who, when this car was speeding up here, this was June 7th of last year, it was a car that was speeding into the protesters right here. And Dan Gregory reached into the car to try to stop the car, and he was shot in the shoulder. He's returned up here to Capitol Hill to talk about, that experience and everything else that he's up to. So, I'm saying, real impactful show here today. As usual, want to give a big shout out to our partners, the South Seattle Emerald and KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. And this is Pink Umbrella Day. I want to share this link with you. A year ago, just under a year ago, we did a podcast series called Citizens of the Chop. We actually interviewed Liz, the person who was holding the pink umbrella. So all you is putting that link in the comments right now. Interviewed Liz about 1 month after Pink Umbrella. You guys can hear what Liz had to say. Liz is the person who actually held that pink umbrella.
Yeah, this was such historic footage. Honestly, so many people understood that was really the turning point, I think, for so much of what was going on right here at the Western Barricade. And honestly, when we talk about, celebrating this now a year later and remembering this, this is a part of it. It was a huge part of our history, something that we have to make sure that people understand the significance of that day.
Yeah, no, for sure. And something we want to keep on everybody's radar. Today is Tuesday, June 1st as well. This is the day the city council is supposed to vote on Councilmember Morales' proposed legislation around participatory budgeting.
Yeah, you got it right. There it is.
My God, serious day, man.
Yeah. Participatory budgeting. This is very, very interesting because so many in the community have been following how this money is going to get disseminated out into the community. It really was the work of so many community members to bring this about in terms of participatory budgeting. And so we'll see how this plays out today with their vote around if this money is going to go into the Office of Civil Rights for them to then create an RFP process and get an organization to help figure out how to disseminate the money and utilize participatory budgeting as its base. So there's a lot going on today for sure.
Yeah. Now, one national headline today, we talked about yesterday as well, being the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street. There over 1,000 buildings in the Black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, burned to the ground. Over 300 Black people killed. One of the worst race massacres in American history. Not the only one, but probably just the most well-known. Got a clip right here from CBS this morning. President Biden is supposed to be going to Tulsa today, and he's talking about, it's not quite reparations, but we'll let the clip explain.
Hundreds of people gathered in Tulsa, Oklahoma last night to mark the 100th anniversary of the 1921 massacre that killed and injured hundreds of people, devastated that city's Black community, and then was hushed up for decades. President Biden will travel to Tulsa later today. He's expected to unveil a series of initiatives to help communities of color throughout the U.S. Omar Villafranca is in Tulsa. Omar, good morning.
Good morning. I'm standing in front of the Greenwood Cultural Center in the area that's called Black Wall Street. And President Biden will visit here, and he'll be the first president to come here and remember the victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre. He's going to meet with some of the survivors at the Cultural Center behind me, but he's also expected to talk about some new policies. The president is expected to announce actions such as using federal purchasing power to contract with small disadvantaged businesses and new fair housing rules to combat racial inequality, and also a $10 billion community revitalization fund aimed at supporting underdeveloped communities like those here in Greenwood. Now, the administration says those efforts will help communities of color, but people here in Tulsa say they've already lost so much, even though the massacre happened 100 years ago. Listen to what Viola Fletcher had to say. She's 107. Listen to her conversation with Gail on our Tulsa Race Massacre special last night.
Good education and a nice home and a quiet neighborhood and family all of that was taken. There's so many things, that I'm still living without now.
And she says she is still afraid after what she witnessed 100 years ago. Now, earlier, she actually went and testified before Congress talking about reparations for the community here, but it's worth noting that President Biden is not expected to address reparations today. Gail?
Yeah, she was 6 years old at the time. She's told me that she thinks about it every single day. Imagine that. And she's now 107. Thank you, Omar.
This is one of those things for me where, I don't know how much more this country needs to see with regard to how we are going to issue in reparations. The fact that Joe Biden, being the first president to actually visit this area that was massacred 100 years ago, it is really appalling to me, to be honest. What about the 25 years, 50 years? No, it had to take 100 years for one of our presidents of this country to even acknowledge really the fact that this occurred, to be there on the grounds, to make a statement here. And then, to be honest, great. Okay, $10 billion fund to serve underserved communities like that community. But what about certain communities that have been devastated by other things, where really the Black community has been at the center of majority of that devastation? We see it in all of these metrics. We see Black and Indigenous people being at the bottom. And I'm just like, what is this country going to do? How are they going to really repair these harms and actually live up to the history instead of burying it, instead of trying to hide behind it? At the end of the day, you have to be open and honest about what took place there and what takes place since then. There's been devastation in Black communities all over. So, for there not to be a direct investment into the families and descendants of those who lost their businesses, lost their institutions, lost their families. As Miss Viola was saying right there, she's been living this every single day since she was 6 years old. More needs to be done here. I don't care what nobody says. More needs to be done.
Yeah, for 100 years. And when we talk about generational wealth, for people who might not understand that, imagine over 100 years, 2-3 generations, how wealthy those people would be right now. You see what I'm saying? But instead, everything was totally devastated and, started from zero. So again, this is a story we want to stay on top of. It's actually been a lot of twists and turns. The celebration was canceled. The original celebration that was supposed to be there was actually canceled, and some of everything else. I think right here, this is the part where actually, we want to talk about the events 1 year ago. The pink umbrella. Can I get a quick merch break? We're gonna take a real fast break here, real quick, and come right back. And we're gonna jump into this footage, and then we're gonna be joined by Justin Carter from Capitol Hill Seattle blog. You're watching the Morning Update Show. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show, and it's a good break right there because it gives us an opportunity to remind people we really stay on air through your support. Even being up here on Capitol Hill, if you see the number of people and staff, their commitment here, you know what I'm saying? It's people really showed out and showed up. I want to say thank you to people who donate or support Converge. There's a good opportunity for you, man. If you appreciate our coverage, you appreciate us being on the ground out here, if you find value in our reporting, go to whereweconverge.com/donate. There's probably a scroll down there on the bottom as well for different platforms. Also, we got our no excuse. They're not out yet, but the no excuses sweatshirts and t-shirts should be out here in a few days. So we'll have those up, and wait till people see our pride shirts. Fire.
There we go.
All right. Man, this is I'm actually glad that I viewed this last night instead of viewing it here today. I was paralyzed last night. That's why we were late for show prep this morning, because I sat there for some hours, and then I thought about it. I was like, we got Big Dan coming up. So, you know, I mean, how whatever can I be considering what Dan went through? But, you know, we want to give a trigger warning right here to our audience. I think it's real important that people see and hear what occurred right here 1 year ago on June 1st, 2020, Seattle protests. This is when the tear gas and the flashbangs were deployed about 100 feet behind us right there at the Western Barricade.
We're right here at the East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now. That's the barricade. Again, if we see the bike officers here, if we see the bike officers tapped out, then people should be concerned. As long as the bike officers are in front, I think that we're okay. You know, they have a reinforcement behind them. But we've seen here the last 4 days, what we've seen the last 4 days is if they, and there it is, they're getting tapped out. They're getting tapped out right there. We have a definite change in posture. We have a definite change in posture right here at the East Precinct. And what I just told you right there is when a bicycle officer gets tapped out by an officer with a gas mask, they've changed their posture and position here at the East Precinct. What we could expect next is tear gas. Why tear gas and possibly flashbangs? Why we say that is, and now they done brought out the troopers. And I'm gonna tell you something, the troopers ain't got no problem firing. These guys, the troopers ain't got no issue letting loose. We saw the troopers on Saturday. Now this situation is escalating. If you know anybody, if you know, tag and share this stream. This is right now live at East Precinct. The officers have changed. The officers have changed their posture. This gentleman right here grabbed the barricade, and now you see they're reinforcing the barricade. We have not heard an audible anything from an authority here. The umbrellas are out. We're getting pushed back. Don't spray that shit. Don't spray it. Don't spray it. Okay, the umbrellas are here. You see people put out the umbrellas to block the spray. To block the spray. It's rowdy right here. Hold on. Let me bring it down. Let's just try to de-escalate. Let's try to de-escalate this. Let's just try to bring this down, guys. You know, it's a lot of worse shit than going to jail, like a flashbang, shrapnel, or something. Let's bring this down. Let's bring this shit down. So we see him grabbing the umbrella. There's the spray. There's the spray. There's the spray. It's on now. It's on. East Precinct. They're losing control. State police are trying to open the barricade. They're putting the pepper spray in the air. Share this stream. Share this stream. Tag and share this stream. Share this stream. This, God damn it, they got me, you motherfuckers. I'm gonna eat this shit though. There it is. There it is. It's a crush. It's a crush. I got pepper spray all over me. They're not moving. I got sprayed, but shit, I've been through worse. Barricade is up. Barricade is up. The officers are coming with the spray. And this is exactly what's happened here. Get the fuck out my way. Let's see here. This is what's going on. I only got one eye. These are flashbangs. This is flashbangs. They're deploying flash. Hey, bring this shit down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. This is, share this stream. God damn it. It's the tear gas. It's the fucking tear gas. Police, stop. Holy shit. Tear gas is everywhere. Holy shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. We've been gassed. Holy shit. Oh my God. those motherfuckers. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. These fuckers. Medic! Medic!
Yeah, I guess I thought I got it all out last night, but it was better to review this stuff last night than first time here on air. But Justin, we got Justin on this. Thoughts, June 1st.
Well, first, after listening to that, I have to thank you again. I mean, think about the things that we saw, but also being able to hear your voice in that and the bravery. That's, that reporting, I think, is lots of things started that day on June 1st on the pink umbrella incident. But a big part of it was the fight to tell the story also started that day. It was the start of, it's Pride Month on Capitol Hill. There's people in the streets, there are police lined up, and because of individuals and because of situations and because of policies and because of lack of leadership and because of leadership, all hell breaks loose. And all of a sudden humans are in the middle of it and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And so listen to that as a real reminder of like the value of being there and telling the story, but also then yeah, it's just the start of a big story that went on for the summer. And clearly, I mean, we're still trying to sort out now where it's going to happen. We have votes in the city councils that are parts of it. We're going to have, a new mayor, but going back and looking through it piece by piece, I think has a lot of value. And that's why I really want to be here. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me here today.
Justin, I mean, you've been covering events up here on the Hill News, on Capitol Hill for a long time. And when we talk about the historic nature of what took place a year ago, how does it sit kind of for you in terms of all of the things that you've covered here on Capitol Hill?
Sure. It really did redefine this part of the neighborhood and reconnect it to some of its histories that were lost. We have Black churches on Capitol Hill. We have communities that were here and are still here, and others that have been displaced. And I do think that over time, there had been a distance of history almost. We forgot why Fame is over there on 14th Avenue. It's easy for the white guy to say, oh, well, let's find some positive things to look forward to out of all this. But it is something that I am grateful for, is kind of a reminder and a reconnection to that. And I don't know where it goes. I don't really know what will come of it. There's some things that are dumb that, the city will do out of these situations. And there are some things that will be great. And others will debate things, even like, the mural on East Pine. It's a mural. It's beautiful. It's cool. Is it going to be impactful for changing things? I don't know. But I do think it's reconnected some of that spirit, that history. And so if you start to count the things that really shape the neighborhood and where we are, it's huge. And it's especially huge for where we go next.
Yeah.
I got footage, and we're just putting the original streams on our YouTube page. Yesterday's is up there. Today's will go up today. And yesterday, a year ago, I followed this protest, and those were the guys that they got right here and sat and took a knee and wanted to pray at this barricade. They just wanted to walk past the precinct. And some thoughts and that question for you, but it's like the city was like, hey, downtown, they were like, hey, don't hold us accountable for what happened in Minneapolis. We heard that from the police too. Don't hold us accountable for another city's police department and everything else. But it seems like the city wanted to hold the citizens accountable for that police station burning in Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying? The city wanted the people to trust them, but they didn't want to trust the citizens to walk past the precinct here. And when we saw like these, it was literally, it's got hours of footage. They're sitting there, they're praying, they're chanting, everything else, peaceful protest. Of course, the next day, back up here at the Hill, they hit the barricade. Our reporting on the ground, though, and my feeling on the ground before that was that the SPD were representatives of the policing system in America. They're the police. Clearly, they represent the grievances that people have with policing in America. But on June 1st, when the neighborhood got tear gassed, what we saw was that a protest that was broadly against, policing, the issues of policing and systemic change, then became laser focused on the Seattle Police Department. Is that what you found as well?
Yeah, yes. I mean, there's layers to these kinds of situations. True. So you'll end up, it's a battle over a block, but it was a battle about some of the beliefs. I mean, we also have to remember that we were dealing with things like the Trump administration, and so at the different layers were going on, there was justifications that could be drawn in a bureaucratic way for like, okay, well, it's important to be safe and keep this block clear because of the fire risk. And those kinds of excuses and those kinds of positionings became, kind of part of the day. But what you're talking about, things like the racism and things like just the police abuse of people and police killings, those were also, they were on display, and they were part of the tensions at 11th and Pine, and probably also a little bit why it ended up boiling over. Something gave, and all of those tensions and those really big forces all of a sudden were at play on Capitol Hill, and there was tear gas here in the neighborhood, people living in their apartments around here, businesses, and the protesters who were there for a great and important reason were suddenly under attack.
Well, when we talk about attacks, right, again, it kind of goes back to, we have the right to actually gather and protest like that, right? And so much of it is about how the perspective, right, when we talk about that. And I want to gear us a little bit toward the unity that you did see, because it was a wide variety of people that were out here. And again, when you talk about the historic nature of the Hill, right, and people using their voices, people speaking out against injustice, that's not new to Capitol Hill. But we did see a real resilience of unity as the protesters really stood together during that time.
Yes, there were lots of different groups on these streets. It's easy, I think, in the fog of what happened to think about just something like Antifa and Black Bloc and those kinds of things. But in the beginning, especially, like when these days we're really talking about June 1st, June 2nd, up and through what happened to Dan here with the shooting. Those days especially, it was at its most just mixed. It was a really interesting space full of lots of different viewpoints and lots of different kinds of people and communities, and it was a sense of making sure that the voices were heard, and that whole thing around whose streets, well, people really were out there to show that it was their street and they were going to march on it.
Yeah, when you talk about, and that's why I'm always real clear in these definitions. There's a clear definition between the Western Barricade, those 7 days there, June 1st to June 8th, and then the rest that went on to be Chaz and Chop. I remember during the Western Barricade, I think this is probably a year ago tomorrow or the next day, and we got it on live stream where there was a nurse who was walking home from Swedish, and then protesters were right there kind of near Broadway, their hands up, don't shoot. And so the nurse came over and was like, yeah, hands up, don't shoot, joined into the protest. Police let loose, you know what I'm saying? They let loose with flashbangs. They let loose with rubber bullets. This is a nurse from Swedish. The next day, there was 12 nurses from Swedish, and so when people do talk about that time there, the Western Barricade, because now, you're right. People think, oh, Seattle protesters was just burned, right? There was a lot of people, first responders, Peel Hill's right here. A lot of tech bros were out here.
Sure.
A lot of, it was such a mix of people.
Yes, in the first nights, June 2nd, those kinds of nights here on Capitol Hill, that's when I started to hear from a lot of readers that maybe wouldn't have been involved with the protest at all, who, even if they weren't out marching, definitely were becoming part of it. They were sending me information and sending me photos from what was going on. And it really did activate that spirit for many people in the neighborhood to join the cause. It galvanized a lot of those feelings that we're still dealing with. And it's going to be a big repercussion for the Seattle Police Department that, if we're looking for things that are hopeful, that kind of feeling that happened because of all these terrible things could be something that builds from what we might call the tech bros or the folks that live around here in these apartments who saw these things happening and realized this is wrong and this shouldn't happen again.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much I think that we can dig into and really learn from. What are some of the key lessons that you felt, you kind of took away from, a year ago in terms of
Still
just
learning.
I mean, yeah, no, like literally, but what are some of the, top things, as a journalist?
I mean, the thing, as a journalist, so I don't want to ignore all the big important spiritual and community things, but I'm a tactical journalist. I really do think about like the grind. Like that's why I'm here today too, to help, because I know doing a show every day, it's a lot of work. So for me, I remember the grind of this, like not knowing what I was dealing with, knowing it was big, and wondering how I was going to cover it for, I thought, how am I going to cover this for a couple of days?
Right.
Yeah. And, and then it turned into just a really long-term commitment. And so that's what I think about. The lessons for me is I'm not alone. I'm not going to ever do this by myself. And even though I'm not the first person to make a team, I'm not going to I do like to work on my own. I do need to find people like Omari. I do need to find things like Converge to collaborate with. It kept me going through all this, because there were times, literally from a journalistic perspective, I thought I cannot tell this story, and I wanted to quit. I was afraid to go on stage. I was afraid to start writing, because what do you say about some of these things? And it's because you were grinding this stuff out and others like you were grinding this out that I was like, okay, well, I can do this. Let's just jump in and let's hit it and we'll tell the story. So I think about myself. I think about the grind of journalism, and I think about telling the story. That's what I'm going to remember personally the most about all this.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a break right now. When we come back, we're joined by Dan Gregory. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Hey, it's Jake from Converge Media and Get the F Outside. I hope that all of you are taking advantage of the ability to be outdoors and enjoy nature as our summer months heat up. One other thing that you can take advantage of here in the King County area are free COVID-19 vaccinations. There's all kinds of options for pop-up clinics, and the vaccine is able to be administered to anyone 12 years and older. And did I mention that it's free? You don't need insurance, and they don't care what your citizenship status is. And that kind of sounds like the way things should be anyhow, but we'll save that for another conversation. Information and resources are available at kingcounty.gov/COVID, or you can call the COVID-19 call center at 206-477-3977. Washington, we are almost out of this, but we got to stay locked in for the home stretch. Let's get vaxxed out so we can max out our time with friends, family, and in the great outdoors.
Outside.
story of Converge Media did not start at the Seattle protests or at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, nor 4 years ago when we very first opened our doors. The true story of Converge Media is firmly rooted in the legacy of Black media heroes of yesterday whose shoulders that we stand upon today. Converge Media is firmly rooted in the pioneering spirit of Horace Caton Sr., who over 125 years ago launched the Seattle Republican newspaper alongside his wife, Susie Revels Caton, a trailblazer in her own right, serving as the associate editor, a groundbreaking feat for a woman and especially a Black woman at that time. We are rooted in the visionary eye of Al Smith, who documented Black beauty, culture, vibrance, and excellence through his lens. We are rooted in the benevolence of Fitzgerald Beaver, who envisioned the Facts newspaper, the very same newspaper where my father, James Salisbury Jr., was a staff photographer over 4 decades ago. We are rooted in the broad and innovative shoulders of Chris Bennett, who with his Z-Twins radio took the story of Black excellence to the airwaves. We are rooted in the fearlessness of Roberta Bird Barr, who 56 years ago broke ground and shattered stereotypes as she hosted the TV show Face to Face that tackled issues of race and equity head on. We are rooted in the rhythms of Gordon Curvey, whose music Inner City brought our culture and vibes to TV screens across the Emerald City. Converge Media is also inspired by our contemporary icons. We are inspired by the commitment to storytelling from Tony B and Rainier Avenue Radio, and inspired by the passion and dedication of Marcus Harrison Green of the South Seattle Emerald. So you see, when you look at Converge Media today, and especially as we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Morning Update Show, just know that our story did not begin with us, nor will it end with us, as it is our duty at Converge Media to broaden our shoulders for the next generation of Black media innovators, to stand firmly upon them and to tell the stories of our community to generations yet to come. Share the stream.
Welcome back to Converge Media and the Morning Update Show. You guys, I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And joining me in this segment right now is Justin Carter of Capitol Hill Seattle Blog. Thanks again for being with us
Good
today.
to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And joining us today, I mean, honestly, Dan, you have a story to tell.
Yes, ma'am.
Dan Gregory, thank you
Yes,
again
ma'am.
for being with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, before we get into your story, we're actually going to play the clip so that the audience can understand what you went through that day, and then you're going to really walk us through it.
Absolutely.
Let's make sure we roll that clip, guys.
Thank you.
A protester is recovering tonight after he was shot at last night's demonstration in Seattle. A black sedan sped down the street toward demonstrators at 11th and Pike. Protesters surrounded the vehicle. When Daniel Gregory approached the driver's side window, he was shot.
It was going to run over the crowd, and the young gentleman, the young black gentleman who so bravely stepped up to take on the car, reached in through the window to try to prevent the car from running over the entire crowd.
I hear the gunshot go off in my arms. I moved right in time when he reached for something. I moved right, but my whole thing was to protect those people. That's it. And the whole thing was to protect those people down there.
The man driving the car, Nicholas Fernandez, waived his first court appearance. Through an attorney, Fernandez told the court he was on his way to work and got lost. Bail is set at $150,000. A Snohomish.
Yeah, I mean, there it was right there. You were just instinctively brave. Tell us what was going on in your mind at that time as you saw the car come in. We see that you were talking about saving those people, protecting those people. How was this for you, man?
So at that time, I'm halfway down the block between 11th and Pine. And I'm eating lunch. They was giving out hot dogs. I'm eating a hot dog. And I remember hearing Will's squeal hitting the corner really fast. As that happened, there was a lady hopping on the curb really quick. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he didn't mean to do that. He's going to stop. But his window was down and people was yelling, stop, stop. So many people yelling, stop. And trying to get his attention by throwing things at him. And then he kept speeding up. And at this point, he's passing me. And I'm like kind of still, like I'm really still at this point. Because in my mind, like, this is not really going down. And as he passes me, I remember one of my friends running, yelling for a medic. Medic, 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 running the opposite direction. Somebody else starts blowing the whistle. So right then there was like two signs that this guy's not going to stop. The first sign was, in my opinion, everybody know what stop means and what no means in whatever country you live in. So it's not a language barrier. You know stop and you know no. So when he didn't stop and he kept going, his window was down, his eyes was as focused as Dom from the Fast and the Furious on the crowd. Like his eyes was like dead on. So me knowing like this crowd is down here and they have no idea a car is coming to blindside them, it was like, there's no way I'm going to live with that. There's no way I'm going to go home and go to sleep knowing I could have tried to do something to stop this car. So something in my head, I say it's God, I'm a believer. God told me, don't let that car hit those people. And as that car goes by, something tells me, go. So it was like a magnet. I promise you, it was like a magnet that went, like I never ran that fast in my life. Like the fear was, if that car hits anybody, then the life could be taken away from them. And nobody deserves the life to be taken away from them. So when something told me, go, I ran. And I got to him like halfway down the block. And I grabbed my hand on the steering wheel and I yanked it to the right. And in my head, there were people in that side, like, about to get hit if I yank it right too hard. So I let go and I yank it left. When I yank it left, he hits the gas. So now I really can't keep up with the car. And if I like don't let go, then he's gonna whip my arm out. So I let go of the car, lost my balance. I look up and he's still going, and that crowd is like still not moving. Nobody's like moving. And I kept running, and I remember like I called up to him and I grabbed him and I tried to like pull him out the car. I think at first I punched him and tried to pull him out the car. When I punched him, he turned over, and when he turned over, like something told me to move, and boom. But in my head, I was like, "There's no way he just shot me." Then I smelled the gunpowder, but I was like, the car stopped, and all the panic has reached the crowd. Everybody moved out the way. So I'm like, yes, nobody got hurt. But the scary thing was when I was on the ground, like I looked up just to double check, like that car had stopped, right? And it was stopped, but the door was still closed. So you didn't get out of the car yet. And I'm like, oh no, because like in any movie we watch, they get out the car and finish the guy off. So I'm like, this is it, you know?
Did he say anything?
He didn't. He didn't say anything.
What were you saying?
Oh, what do you mean?
When you were, what were people yelling? Were people saying things? Were people shouting at them to stop? What was
Everybody
going on?
was yelling stop. I wasn't saying any. I was just trying to get on. Like, it's no time to yell stop. Like, this go. It was like, it was all instinct. Like, it was just like, I do anything to. If the only thing I regret is not going out there earlier. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I regret is not going out there earlier.
You were so brave. You got no regrets.
If it was literally up to me, I would have like hopped in front of him. Yeah. He would have got me first, and then everybody would have got hit, and then everybody would have moved. You know what I mean? But it was just like, it's just
amazing.
The fear in my head was like people protesting, looking this way, and a car comes and clears the people in between them. Well, they had to go home and live with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You were taking a lot in, obviously,
Absolutely.
all at the same time. I mean, as you explain your thoughts back to back to back like that, we can only imagine that they were just rushing and flooding your mind.
Absolutely.
At the time. You know,
well,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I deal with sexual affective disorder. I went to therapy back home and everything like that. And through learning about mental illnesses, they teach us how to meditate. Mm-hmm. So when I got shot, I knew how to meditate, and the sky was just as blue as this. And I took myself to a beach immediately. Thank God, because I didn't want the pain to, you know what I mean? But the mental aspect, I had to be really strong that day, and I didn't want people to worry about me. I didn't want people to think, "Oh no, he died." Like, I got shot in the arm, and I figure I got shot in the arm. I know my legs are fine, and I can get up and tell these people we're okay to keep protesting, keep fighting for us, because this is serious. It's deeper than me. You know what I mean? It's way deeper than what happened to me.
Well, how was the support for you after people realized that you were really there and you made this instinctive move to protect other people's lives? How was it, people supporting you after that?
The support was beautiful. I was able to GoFundMe page, and I was able to give back to the homeless community and help my family out. And the people were there, like, not just that, but people were there mentally supporting me. Like I was able to talk about it all the time. Like, a lot of times, that's on my mind. Like, what if it went wrong? Like, what if I didn't move in time? You know what I mean? Like, who would stand up for me then? You know what I mean? And like, the support has been tremendous through the different churches I'm involved with, and therapy, and friends from Seattle and from Baltimore, and family and friends. So
Wow. I mean, that's really good to hear, because I think when you make a personal sacrifice like that, to understand then you were also enwrapped by love is so key.
Absolutely.
My one question to you too is, obviously, I mean, we see how traumatic it is for, members of our team here at Converge, just reliving that time frame.
Absolutely.
Omari, Jake was out there. So many of our folks were out there. How has it been for you? Now we're talking about a year later.
Absolutely.
And it's probably a very important part of your life, I can only imagine. But how has it been for you in this year since this happened?
It's been honestly, it's been really rough for me to, like, trust society again and to get back out there and, like, communicate with people. And, like, when I move around here, I have, like, symptoms of PTSD. My heart beats a certain way, and, like, I get nerves. I'm always, like, all my senses are heightened a lot, and I kind of use it to my advantage. I actually got a security job over here, so, like, I like protecting people, helping people out, and being there for people. And I'm actually doing a security job around this area, but I do understand that they're doing a shop anniversary, which kind of worries me, because I want people to come out there with good intentions. You know what I mean? Everybody's not come out there with the same idea, and that's what worries me. And to see that being, like, almost set up right in front of my face again is like, it scares me. It worries me, because, like, anything could happen at any given second. And, like, my main concern is I want people to go make it home to their families. Like that I put people first, like humans, and I just and that's what puts the salt on my PTSD, because I'm not just protecting myself. I want to protect others around me before myself, and that's what God put me here for. That I'm built to do so, and I feel like
it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and clearly you did it that day, Justin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So you're working on Capitol Hill now.
Yes,
so you
sir.
come back. So how's it feel to be in the neighborhood and back in part of it? And
I feel like this is almost like I have a new birth date now, June 7th. You know what I mean? And because anything could have went wrong that day, and I feel like grounded to this area. You know what I mean? I feel like a magnet to this area. But however, I won't go down that way, and I won't eat a hot dog ever again.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you back on
Yes,
the hill.
sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and just thank you again for your obviously your selflessness in that moment. I know so many people, really, you probably did save their lives in that act.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, when you talk about grabbing the wheel of the car and ensuring that it wasn't going to hit anyone else or hit anybody in general, you did what was necessary
Yes,
at that
ma'am.
time. And you know what? You have our support here at
Thank you.
Converge
Thank you.
always.
Thank you.
You know,
Likewise.
again, as Justin said, I'm glad that you're here continuing to protect the people
Yes, ma'am.
right here on the Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
It's
thank you
all
so
love.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today, Dan.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, you guys heard it here from Dan himself. I mean, obviously, this was something that was so historic as we saw that car plow through and we saw Dan take an act of bravery. Justin, I mean, honestly, I'm glad that he was here with us today to celebrate and just talk about his own story, because he deserves celebration for that act.
I mean, a hero protecting the First Amendment, allowing folks to keep protesting and keep marching and be part of this. Yeah, no, that's an important moment, an important person.
Absolutely. You guys, we're going to be right back after this short break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Converge Media returns to the Hill as the Morning Update Show broadcasts live from Cal Anderson Park beginning Monday, May 31st through Friday, June 4th. Join us as we look back at the Western Barricade and speak with protesters, residents, journalists, business owners, and those most impacted and tell their story like only Converge Media can. That's the Morning Update Show live from Capitol Hill, May 31st through June 4th, streaming across all Converge Media platforms.
Hey, it's Jake from Converge Media and Get the F Outside. I hope that all of you are taking advantage of the ability to be outdoors and enjoy nature as our summer months heat up. One other thing that you can take advantage of here in the King County area are free COVID-19 vaccinations. There's all kinds of options for pop-up clinics, and the vaccine is able to be administered to anyone 12 years and older. And did I mention that it's free? You don't need insurance, and they don't care what your citizenship status is. And that kind of sounds like the way things should be anyhow, but we'll save that for another conversation. Information and resources are available at kingcounty.gov/COVID, or you can call the COVID-19 call center at 206-477-3977. Washington, we are almost out of this, but we got to stay locked in for the home stretch. Let's get vaxxed out so we can max out our time with friends, family, and in the great outdoors.
Outside.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And man, what a powerful interview right there with Dan Gregory.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, Dan just did an excellent job. He was talking about he was nervous, but the truth is he got his story out there. And man, we were talking about this, just really such an act of bravery.
Yeah, and we get to have him back on the Hill. The community is still strong and still growing.
I also love how he said he has a new birthday, June 7th, in terms of the birth of all of this bravery he's showing. It's a great way to look at it.
It's real. And you heard him talking about how he just started meditating, took himself to a whole nother place. What's crazy is like when we look at a lot of this stuff, and definitely not comparing anything we went through to what Dan went through, but in the moment, like we're not on any stream like in real time, like crying or this. It's all this time removed that it's impactful. When he talks about PTSD and everything else, and I want to acknowledge for everybody out there, acknowledge that Dan Gregory returned right here, less than 20 feet from where he was shot. He was shot right behind us, right here, about 20 feet from us. You know what I'm saying? But that's how important, especially this week, is where people coming back and they're sharing their story, because, what we want to do is spark a conversation. I think a lot of people had the idea around coming back on the Hill wrong. They're like, oh, Mari's going to put all this police footage up here and this and that. We're here because we assume that people much larger than this little engine they could at Converge Media would be by now a year later having bigger conversations. And so this is what this is about, hearing from people hearing stories, people understanding. What are your thoughts, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, you do have to pour through some of the footage, though, too. We do need to look through some of these videos, and we do need to talk to people like Dan about the details to help us sort out what happened so we can figure out what does need to be fixed. And so that's why, being able to hear the color and the descriptions and the idea of him visualizing this blue sky that we're looking at right now, it can be inspiring, but it's also informative and useful for figuring out what we want to do with it all.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think that, there is a give and take with this, right? Because, you have people that are reliving their experiences. I
Huh,
mean,
every
clearly
day.
every single day. And then to be right here in the area again, that is all its own trigger, right? And so I think you're absolutely right, Justin, that we have to be able to learn from all of this, period, point blank. And Omari, you are right. You know, I think a lot of us thought that some of these maybe more major media outlets would be having larger discussions and understanding how to identify, you know, some of the characteristics that really took place a year ago here, you know, and really change up some things and shift some narratives. But you
Well,
know, we
we
got to
see
keep it going.
here that it's really it's our responsibility, you know, because if the way news cycles are, just the nature of it these days, but as well is that things that impact us, and this didn't only impact us when I say Black community, this impacted us, the Hill, and also impacted the city. Is it's important, you know, to discuss and to understand. But like I said, big shout out to Dan Gregory and also to Ike Everard. You know, and Ike, a lot of people, you read Ike's article the other day about how protesters are looking back and everything else. Ike Everard actually built a relationship with Dan months and months ago when Ike was down there at Arizona State in school and came up here and interviewed Dan Gregory and everything else. So I want to give a big appreciation to Dan. Want to change the note here a little bit, man, and go a little bit upbeat before we get out of here. And we're talking about Black business and what's going on. We'll start with you first, Treyana. We're going to put up a few photos from yesterday at the Black Wall Street event on 23rd and Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, not only was this historic, honestly, for the Central District, but just a really great way to commemorate the resilience of so many businesses. You know what it takes to be a vendor out there, to set up early in the morning, drag your table, your tents, all your products, try to set up something nice and, you know, that's inviting for customers to want to come in and shop with you. This is really, I think, for me, what I walked away with yesterday was the resilience of our businesses. And it reminded us of the resilience of Black Wall Street 100 years ago before the massacre, the ways that they built those Black towns on the backs of so many people, bringing their brilliance to bear and making sure that their town had that form of resilience. And honestly, man, I mean, historic nature. We had over 200 businesses register. We had folks that weren't even set up with tables. They were just kind of walking the crowd. They had their products. I mean, honestly, I was so thankful to see all of the people come out yesterday. You know what I mean? 5 p.m. we did that electric slide. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of.
And I'll say this real quick. I'll move over to you, Justin. So for people, we got a nice clip yesterday, and you can go to the Converge Instagram or the Converge Facebook page. We'll tweet it out here after the show. But, you know, you guys were electric sliding to Beyonce.
Yeah.
And we ain't want to put that clip on here and get struck.
Yeah.
But you can check it out right now on the Converge Instagram and Converge Facebook page. Now, it's called Capitol Hill Seattle Blog, but for years you've been doing in-depth coverage there in the Central District as well, which we appreciate. So it's a lot of black businesses. It's percolating. What are you seeing, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, you know, hey, why not cover it? It's good for my business too, right? I mean, I like to sell some ads every now and then myself, but yeah, no, it was exciting. I mean, part of the reopening is this kind of thing, right? I mean, this is why we went through months of shutdown and the vaccinations are finally here. And so it's good to be reopening. It was good to see that event. 23rd and Jackson's got some good examples of great ownership. It's got some work to do too. And I think it's a great center for folks to recognize this kind of effort. We'll have a bunch of photos from the day too later today on the site. So people come check it out.
Glad everybody covered it, man. That's what it's all about.
Yo, you know,
that brilliance.
For people, if you go to my Twitter, I don't plug my Twitter often, but Omari saw on Twitter, we put 30 seconds of this electric slide in there yesterday. I think the video now is close. It moved past 11,000 views on the video. And people all over America are reaching NBA players, elected officials here, personalities. It's like, I mean, people were really happy to see that and see that movement yesterday. That's probably one of, you know, it's definitely locally gone viral for sure. So, you know, you guys can check that on our Twitter. Talking about tomorrow we're joined again, of course, by Justin Carter. Appreciate it here throughout the rest of the week. We've also got David Obelts from Malcontent News. And David, he just put out a documentary. And so we're going to be talking about that. And Joey Weiser. Remember Joey Weiser? I got a story of Joey Weiser. We're sitting there, Western Barricade, phone was on 3%. And Joey Weiser, so he's like, "You're Omari." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah, my phone's died." Take this battery charger. So Joey streamed, huh? Oh, yes. And I'd be in trouble if I forgot this because, you know, he's an artist, so he's sensitive about his stuff. Marshall Law's joining us tomorrow as well. So we got Justin's back here tomorrow. We got David Obelch from Malcontent News, Joey Weiser, and Marshall. Hey, why don't you get that handcrafted one more spin? Yeah, that handcrafted motion graphic there. One more spin. So we got a great lineup for tomorrow. And I know there's a lot of stuff that Justin wants to dive into as well. So we'll have space for that too.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And really, this is, for me, this is about us remembering this time and being able to spotlight the people who really helped make it epic, to be honest. And I'm glad that we have such a great lineup tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, usually it's just me and Trey, but I always start off. Justin, any last words for today?
Looking forward to more through the week. It's such beautiful weather. Let's enjoy it.
All right, Trey.
You know, guys, for me, always see yourself as a part of the solution, as those vendors and all of those customers and community members did yesterday during the Black Wall Street event. There's going to be more events coming your way. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to see yourself as a part of the solution. All
right. Well, man, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our audience out there. Thank you for all the support. We knew this week wasn't going to be easy logistically or emotionally and some everything else, but, you know, all together as our family here, our Converge family, our extended family, Capitol Hill Seattle blog, not family and partner like you, man. This guy got a lot of stories here with Justin, but I want to thank everybody. And again, want to thank everybody here on set before we get out of here. Jake Gravbrot, Lakeith Aspie, Olia D'Alessandro, Curtis Delgado, Ibrahim Omar, Steve Hickey, Ike Everard, Big D Burrell, and it looks like we see our brother Eric Calligraphy here on the set. It's good to see you, Eric. And of course, thanking our guest, Dan Gregory. As usual, I want to remind you to go forward in your purpose, to go forward in humanity, and until tomorrow at 11 a.m. from right here at Cal Anderson Park. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day.